Who the bloody hell is Will Still, and why do so many West Ham fans want him to be our manager? Is it a ridiculous notion, or is he a hidden gem? We're going to be debating that earlier with someone very passionate on the subject, Dom, later on in the show. So look out for that. We're going to be talking about the transfer window. Was it a disappointment, or did we just do what we needed to get done? Bowen, is he back to form? And also, with Moyes undefeated in 5 games, can he win back the haters? And it's Friday Night Pint. I'm here with my good mates Scott and Ryan. Are you guys pumped for this one?
Yeah.
I always wait for Scott to speak first. I don't know why. I feel like he has the presence to speak in front of me, but I jumped straight in there because he went all silent and he made me nervous.
I was doing the same for you, mate. I was waiting for you to talk,
Oh, cheers, mate. We've got respect for each other. That's why. No, yeah, I'm all good, mate. It's Friday night. It's been a long week, but we're here. We're finally here. We're on the eve of another huge Premier League football game. So looking forward to this show and looking forward to the debate at the end with a certain someone.
Yeah, someone who does not sit on the fence whatsoever. But, I mean, yeah, look, we want to get into the transfer window first. Obviously, it's shut earlier in the week. We signed Danny Ings. We let Dawson go. We let Ashby go, and a couple of other youngsters. I mean, Ryan, I'll start with you, mate, because I don't know. I feel like I haven't spoke to you in ages. But yeah, I mean, how did you feel about the transfer window? Do you feel like we should have done more, or we let too much go?
Yeah, I think we definitely needed to bring in another centre back with Dawson going. Danny Ings, I thought was a good signing, but look, he picked up an injury. There's rumours he could be back involved tomorrow. So maybe that's why we didn't bring in anyone in towards the end of the transfer window, because maybe Ings and Skamaka's injuries ain't as bad as first thought. But yeah, no, I was a bit disappointed. I'll be honest, I'm not really disappointed with the Ashby business. I've seen a lot of youngsters leave the club over the last few years, and none of them ever gone on to really achieve anything much in football, especially in the Premier League. I'm not saying Ashby won't, because he's got the talent there. But look, from what I heard behind the scenes, he had a bad reputation. I'm only going on what I've heard. But look, there's a lot of people seem to get a bit insulted when people leave our football club. It's like that, oh, they shouldn't leave West Ham. But look, if he didn't want to sign a new deal and he didn't want to be at the football club, then you've got to let him go, unfortunately. And I wish him luck. I don't wish him luck tomorrow, obviously, but I wish him luck in the future. And I just wish we maybe would have got 1 or 2 in on deadline day.
Yeah, do you know what? Right, I think you've summed it up perfectly. You see, there's a lot of meltdown with especially in the social media circles.
He's used that word. I want to be like, what's that? What was that QI when they used that a certain word? He goes, he used that West Ham word. They love the meltdown. Come on.
Yeah, but it is. It's like you said, look at the youngsters that are left. Where are they now? Sonny Perkins had his head turned. You could probably say that was a bit different. He's not really. He's come on for Leeds. He scored in the FA Cup twice for them. But no one else has really got. We had that massive debate rumbling on when Diagana left. He's not pulled up any trees since he left. The only player that's really gone on to sort of do something, and he's still not done it in the Premier League, is Josh Cullen. He moved to Belgium, played really well there. He's doing really well for Burnley at the moment, who are pushing for promotion, if not pushing for the Championship title. So he's probably one that you could say he's moved on. But these youngsters that are moving, they're moving for game time. They get the odd 1 or 2 games here. I get that, but unless there's something special, they're not going to get in the side. You can sit there and say, oh, they're not given a chance, but can you honestly sit there and say any of the ones that are left are actually good enough?
No, yeah, I agree, Scott. I mean, I remember seeing Ashby play against Tottenham in the Cup last year, and I was very impressed with him. And I've seen him play in a few European games, and I thought he might have been a long-term right-back option. But look, the manager has to make these decisions. I mean, we can sit there and sit here for hours debating who should play in the first team, but you're right. If they're not good enough, then they can't play in the first team, unfortunately. I know we've always brought youngsters through. The problem with youngsters nowadays is they haven't got patience because of their agents, and their agents are in their ears, and they're saying, look, you're not going to play, you've got to move. Like, no disrespect, Ashby's gone to Newcastle. He's got Trippier in front of him already. Newcastle, Ashby could get in that first team. Newcastle are in that situation now where the owners they've got that if Ashby don't perform after a few games, they'll go out and buy a new right back.
Yeah.
And Ashby will find himself on loan to Luton or something in a few years' time, because that seems to be where all our youngsters end up after a few years, is Luton. So, look, as I said, I've got no problems with Ashby. You know, he didn't want to play for the club. He wanted to move on and challenge himself. Then good luck to him. You know, he's left the club now. So,
and to be fair, you've heard the rumblings behind the scenes of his attitude, that he wasn't well liked. You know, at the end of the day, from what we understand and from what looking from the outside in, he made his mind up to go last summer. So what's the point? You know, we didn't let him go. He could, or a bid didn't come in for him. So why would you want to thrust him into the first team? You're not benefiting yourself. Do you know what I mean? You're benefiting the other team by him getting more experience, more game time playing in the Premier League. So you're only if he wanted out, there's no point keeping him here and giving him that experience. Well, you know, the only reason he went in January was because West Ham couldn't really afford to go to a tribunal in the summer, because he would have left on a free and then it would have to go to a tribunal. So we got more money for him now in January than we probably would have done waiting for that outcome of that tribunal.
I agree with you to an extent on Ashby, but I kind of disagree on the other youngsters. I think it's too easy just to say, oh, we've sold them, they're not good enough, right? Because I've seen it time and time again. I was saying this on the podcast. We see these youngsters, right, and make an appearance in a cup game and they really impress. They look really good and everyone likes them, goes, oh, wow, I want to see more of them. Longelo, who we've just let go, you know, was an option, an example of it at left back. And you go, oh, hopefully we can see them play more games. You never see them again. That's it. Don't get to see them. So there's no building on those performances with some debuts, you know, in the Premier League off the bench and some other situations.
I think at the moment, I think what goes against some of these youngsters as well is fan pressure. Because if the manager starts playing these youngsters and we start losing games, fans are just going to get on the backs of the manager, and that's why they're not chucked into the first team. Like when I grew up, you used to see Harry Redknapp chuck youngsters in. Even managers that come after him, Alan Pardew used to play the youngsters. You know, now you don't really get that in football no more, because you know it's a pressured game, especially in the Premier League, because David Moyes is under a lot of pressure at the moment. And if he starts playing the youngsters, look, it could go the other way. He could play the youngsters and he could find a real gem, and we could, you know, start climbing the table and we could really connect as a team. But when you're a manager and you've got that much pressure on you, it's hard sometimes to put the youngsters in.
Yeah, I think I think there's a degree of that, definitely, and I can't speak for all the fan base. I know there's definitely fans that I think are more forgiving when we are trying to give youngsters a go. I think you'd rather lose with young players in the side and trying to progress with young players than lose, you know, not giving them a chance. And we've always been excited about seeing young players coming through into the team. And I think if we'd had that this season, that's a bit of a silver lining. We've been crap, but there's some gems there. There's some hope for the future. And you look at Arsenal last season, they choked on top four. And a lot of them put that down to the young players, the inexperience. But he stuck with it. And now it's paying dividends, you know. And I just think that there's got to be, and his Red Bull model comments will come back to haunt him time and time again. I don't think that's done him any favours whatsoever.
But to be fair, Dan, his Red Bull model is working because it gives you wings and they're all flying off out the football club.
That's what he meant. That's the Red Bull model.
The thing is when we've had a situation where we've given someone a chance before in Ngakia. You know, and that backfired because we put him in the limelight, we put him in the team, he looked decent. And he wanted out come the summer. All right, it's not worked out for him since he's left. You know, looking back in hindsight, he probably would have done better staying with us. Ashby, when he played that game against Spurs, looked the type of player. For me, there's a reason why he didn't stay in the side. Whether it's attitude, whether it's commitment, whether he had his head turned by his agent or what. You know, it's one of those things. But he may be one who may go on to do something. Like I said, for me, I think it's a big risk for him to go to Newcastle. He should have probably dropped down the league and try and build himself up for the Championship, but that can backfire. Longelo, he looked good in the games he played. Wasn't pulling up any trees at Birmingham. I think that's who he was on loan at. They wanted to sign him. At the end of the day, how old's he now?
Scholes, there's another one. Scholes, we saw him last year.
Yeah,
He
he's
looked brilliant.
only 16, isn't he?
16.
Yeah, but this is the thing. We was bringing through.
I've got pants older than that upstairs, I think.
And the other
Is he
thing
going
as
to be
well,
another one we never see again, and we sell him and we go, he weren't good enough? Like, what are we just? What's the point in giving them one-off appearances and then just going, they're still young, they'll get a shot later on, and you don't see them? Where's the follow-up?
But the thing is that they don't always develop the way you work out. And also, what you've got to look at as well is getting rid of a couple of these youngsters, then allowing players like Scholes to come through. Do you know what I mean? It's putting they may the youth development lot may sit there and think, well, he's going to be a better player than what youngster we've already got who's 21, 20. So West Ham move that 20, 21-year-old out of the side, get some money for him, and then develop this young 16 going on 17-year-old lad who looks like to be a bit mustard, The
thing is, I just think in all the time, and this is just my opinion, all the time Moyes has been here, I've seen no evidence to support that that's what he does. Because you look at what youngsters has he really brought through? He's given some of these youngsters these one-off appearances, but actually brought through and played consistently.
I think the European games, he's obviously give youngsters a chance. Remember how proud we all were last season in the Europa League in that game where I think there was only 2 first-team players who started and the rest were all youngsters. Mm-hmm. And they done themselves proud that night, and they only lost 1-0 to Zagreb.
That was the write-off game, wasn't it, though?
But I remember Longello got man of the match in that game, and it was a proud moment for the academy. But I know there's a lot going on. Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a lot going on behind the scenes at West Ham with the youngsters, and Kenny Brown, who's a good friend of the channel. He's gone in and he's doing a lot, and you can see what the under 18s are doing at the moment. They're smashing it, and the under 23s have been doing it for the last few years. So there is a lot of talent now, but you have to have extra special talent to make it in the first team in the Premier League. You have to have dedication. You ain't always got to be the best player, the most skillful. We've seen that with Mark Noble over the years. We've seen other youngsters that come through. Back in the day, they used to get a lot more chances than they do now. It's hard to get in that first team. It's hard to make it as a professional football player in any league, but to make it in the Premier League and be a starter, you have to be something special. Declan Rice was probably one of the best things to come out of the academy in a very long time. And look what he's done. He's gone on to be an England national that's played in the final, in a major final for his country. Played in the World Cup. Played over 200 games for the first team at West Ham. And he's only 23.
I would love to know what his development track would have been like with Moyes. Moyes famously, I think it was Rice that said that Moyes said to him when he come back, he was like, "Oh shit, you've got good." Like he was really surprised, how good Rice had got.
They wanted to get rid of Declan Rice. Moyes was the one that's really developed Declan Rice. I know Pellegrini got him into the first team, but Pellegrini actually wanted him out. He didn't see him, being a first team player. And obviously Slaven Bilic, he give him his chance, and then he had that dreadful game at Newcastle. I remember, and they dragged him off at half time, and I think Bilic was the one that wanted to actually loan him out. And then they kept him. Bilic lost his job. Pellegrini come in. And then Moyes, I think Moyes is the one that really sort of developed him since he's been at the football club both times.
And Odebeke, I was talking about that to Nicky the other day when he subbed him on at Man United and subbed him back off again same game. Look, I just want to see, he keeps talking about new West Ham. He talks about Red Bull mod, all this. I want to see evidence. I want to see signs. I want to see progress. And I'm not seeing any of that. I'm just hearing lip service.
The change of the formation, I think, is part of what he wanted to do at the start of the season.
Yeah.
When he was talking about the transition that we're in, that he wants, that we've been very critical. I've been critical of it as well, that I've not seen enough evidence of this transition. Now it seems to be that he's stuck with this 3-4, so whatever system he's got. To me, it's a defensive 3-5-2 or 3-4-1, whatever you want, whatever way 3-5-1, whatever way you are. I don't know. But anyway, whatever way you want to look at it. But do you know what I mean? This is a system. You see the other night, people sitting there going, 5 at the back against Derby. But if you've got a set system you want to play and you want to improve playing that system, you need to play that system week in,
Yeah,
week
but
out.
it's not 5 at the back, is it? It's 3
No,
at the back with
yeah,
2
it's,
attacking
it's
wingers.
yeah.
The problem, yeah, no, sorry, go on, Ryan.
No, I was just saying, and then wingers like Emerson and whether it's Sufal or Johnson, whoever's playing, they play higher, but then when they have to defend, they have to defend. That's the model we wanted to start the season with, but we haven't obviously had our defenders fully fit. You know, we've just got a Guerre back who's made such a difference to our back line. You know, he's a leader at the back, and that's what we've been missing all season.
I think the problem is with that, and I agree with you, but like especially when Emerson plays, right? He is a wing back. He is someone when he's there, he's more of an attacking wing back. But he didn't sign a right wing back. You know, if he wanted to play this, we've got Sufal and Johnson, who are more your traditional fullbacks. You know, why if he really wanted to play this, why didn't we sign a right wing back that can give us that same option? You know, that up and down the pitch and get forward more. That perplexes me.
But Sufal offers you that. It's his final delivery that lets him down a lot of the time.
Yeah, Sufal over the last 3 or 4 games has been back to the old Sufal. You know, he's been putting in tackles. I agree with you, Scott. It's just him getting forward is the problem. He hasn't got the final product. But defensively, Sufal's been doing well the last few games.
That's it, and that's the thing. And you know, we can sit and I don't know. Do you want to take comments now, Dan, before we move on to the next bit? Or
yeah, do you know what I'm gonna because Dom's got to be up early soon. I'm gonna get onto the Will Still
looks
thing.
Like he's in David Sullivan's mansion.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good background. It's better than his one he had. But why is he so small in the bloody frame? Why forget your self-centered? Look at us, Dom. Try and emulate how we look. Honestly, it's a nightmare. We take the piss out of Graham. Right, let's get the some comments in. Pellegrini moved Rice into midfield.
Yeah, I must admit, I was talking too fast. I got myself a bit confused. I was meant to say Bilic, but yeah, Pellegrini was the one that sort of developed him a bit more. I was meant to say Bilic.
Yeah, Bilic gave him his debut, but was still playing him as centre back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So Mubama scored tonight. Yeah, he scored again tonight. 2 goals apparently. I mean, he seems like a great kid, honestly, and I really hope he really gets a chance.
This is the thing, you know. He's in and around the first team. You don't really want to rip him away from the youngsters at the minute because he's in fine form. But with the injuries that we've had in the striker department, you need to have him in and around the squad.
I'm all for it. If he wants to play a full 90 minutes on a Friday night and come and sit on the bench on a Saturday, then that's good for him. You know, he'll travel up with the squad tomorrow. He'll sit on the bench, and if he's called upon, he'll come on and give his all. So yeah, good luck to the kid. He's, as you said, he seems like he's got a real good attitude. You know, he's had that experience in Europe in the first team. He trains every day. He's not kicking off. He's getting on with it with the under 23s. So good luck to him.
Yeah. Red 5 says, can't tell me that Scars couldn't do a better job than Creswell over the last 12 months. Yeah, look, I think he definitely opportunities that could have been had. I mean, Creswell more this season, I think, especially towards the later enders, I think had a tougher time, and that's probably why you've seen him out of the team, and Emerson give him more of a chance. But
it's not only that as well. It's again, Emerson's more forward thinking. I've said this for a long time. You know, Emerson's not really what you'd say as an out and out left back. He's a left wing back. You know, and he's more. You watch the games where he's played, even the games that he's played at left back. Creswell's first thing is to stop the ball and look to go backwards. Emerson wants to go forwards. He wants to move the ball forwards. He wants to look. He wants to attack. You know, and for me, it's what we need to be doing. For too long, we sit on the back foot and get punished. We need to start sitting on the front foot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So all right. Let me play this clip then from old Will Still. Give you a little bit of a background on him, and then we'll bring in Doom as he calls himself now. It seems.
Whether it was playing FIFA, playing Football Manager, whatever it was, it just had to be about football. And so I went to college in England. I born in Belgium and lived in Belgium all my life. but went to college in England and studied a degree in football coaching. And that's where I sort of got the buzz for it. And Football Manager was obviously like a part of my daily routine. But yeah, started off in coaching at Preston North End, which was part of our college degree. And the rest is history, really. It's difficult to put into words. Ridiculous, I think. If you told me about 5 or 6 years ago that I'd be standing there, trying to tell my defenders how to defend against Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar, I think, I would have probably said punch me in the face because it sounds completely stupid. But once you sort of get, involved in the game and, you see the stadium, the warm-up starts, then you sort of kind of forget about it. I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. But yeah, the little boy that was inside me was just like standing there with stars in his eyes, I think.
All right, yeah. Still, I don't know. It just carried on playing there, and I was like, "What do I do?" Live TV, but no, that's Will Still, 30-year-old manager of. I think you say it Reims. I think you pronounce it Reims or something like that. Any French-speaking people in the chat, let me know. Undefeated in 14 games at the moment in League On, including against PSG. And what I thought was in that clip that wasn't is they asked him who would he love to manage in the Premier League, and he said West Ham. That's my team. He's a West Ham supporter, and this has got fans in a bit excited about the prospect of it. And he's learned, like you said, a Football Manager. Let's bring in Dom or Doom, right? And we'll get into this. Good evening. We've called
Dad, it's Stade de Rennes. You want someone who can speak French? I speak basic French. Used to holiday there when I was a child for years. It's Stade de Rennes.
The Rim.
Hang on. Can we do a proper intro? Ready? Dom.
What?
It's Paddy Dingle.
You know what? You could have played EastEnders for Phil Mitchell. That would have been so much better. You just had to go and do that one. You just had to do it.
What are you looking at?
I don't know.
The TV.
He's watching. He's disappearing. What is that?
He looks like he's popped around Elton John's house for have a little go on the piano.
Right. So look, yeah, Will Still. A lot of fans have been talking about potentially getting Will Still to, some fans saying, replace David Moyes now, end of the season, get him in. People are excited. He's a West Ham fan, young manager, 30 years old, doing well in League On. Right. First, I want to, you know what? The only person's opinion, Scott sort of spoiled it in the chat. Ryan, I want to see what you think about this because I haven't got a clue what you think about young Will Still.
Me?
I'll be honest with you, mate.
No, Ryan, I know what you think.
I'll be honest with you, mate.
You don't know what I think. In depth.
I didn't really know much about him until obviously a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I think everyone's sort of jumping on the fact that he's a West Ham fan, and obviously Moyes, they want him out. And look, I respect everything. What I've been reading about him, from what he's done. Look, I know people are taking the mick out of him playing Championship manager and that, but listen, you don't have to be a great player to be a great manager. You don't have to be a great manager. You ain't got to have had a great career to be a great coach. And for him to work from I think I was reading earlier about he was born in Belgium. He moved over here when he was 17. He studied at, I think it was Preston. And he's worked his way out. He's been assistant everywhere he's been, but now he's lucky enough to be in a job. He's in France, and because he's gone 13 games unbeaten, and I think they drew against PSG. And look, I'm not going to knock him because I don't know nothing about him, but I think that for us to want to bring someone in like him, I mean, he's 30 years old. He's being 30, you've got to go in there and it'll be tough for him because no one will know a lot about him. So he has to earn his respect with the players straight away. And whether them players will take to him because of his age, because there'll be players in that first team older than him, But I'm not going to knock him as a coach because I don't know much about him. But for me, everyone went on about the Cowley brothers because they were West Ham fans and they couldn't even make it in League One, and that's no disrespect to them. Once again, You know, I'm not going to knock what they do, but I think because they got the West Ham connection straight away, people want to see him on the touchline at West Ham. Maybe in a few years, maybe go and earn your stripes, you know, doing well in France, maybe get a move to somewhere else over here in the Championship. But for him to jump straight from there into the Premier League and take on a club like West Ham with a fan base like West Ham that will, listen, after a couple of defeats, mate, they'll want him out the door. Believe me, we've seen it. And I've seen, I know I'm going on a bit, I'll finish now, but I've seen fans turning their noses up at well-respected managers over the last few weeks that they wouldn't even want anywhere near West Ham, but yet they want someone from who's doing well in France, who's not really done anything over here. So that's my fault on it. I'll move on. I'll let you maybe say now.
Right. Yeah. Do you know what, Dom? Right. I will come to Scott. Let's just have it. Come on, Dom. You're saying I don't know what your opinion is because of Twitter or whatever. Come on. You had a pop at a good kid because he was fantasizing about the possibility of Will still managing West Ham. You had to go at him. And you seemed upset about people.
All the glasses are off.
Oh, here we go. Come on. Right, come on. What is your gripe? Let's have it.
Because it's never going to happen. It's just silly fucking... Like, you wonder why half of this fan base has meltdowns on Twitter. I hate Twitter. I absolutely despise the stuff I see on Twitter. I don't know why the fuck I'm still on Twitter. I don't know why I interact with some people on there, but the amount of shit I see, I'm just like, nah. Like, what did he say? Stay up, right? At the minute, looking a bit, you know, you can't guarantee we're going to stay up. Prioritise the FA Cup or Europa Conference League, whatever, and then get Will Steele in the summer. He's not like, the geezer's not even got a proper license. Like, his club are getting fined like 22,000 euros a game because he's not got his license. Now, like, I don't know the ins and outs of this, but like, if there could be further repercussions for that further down the line, and like, you know, he may not, he could be banned maybe before he starts like going into proper management. He might have to serve a ban because he's technically illegally coaching, if you want. But my gripe is, you're getting excited over nothing, because let's be honest, last week, had any of you three heard of him?
Nope.
No. Well,
Had you?
last week I had, yeah. No, last week is the first time I heard about him, yeah.
Do you know what? I heard about him literally when Dan put in our group chat about talking about it tonight.
Yeah.
Every time I hear his name,
get him in. Get him in. Like, I'm just like, it's a gripe I have, because all of a sudden his name gets mentioned on Twitter a week ago, and now everyone knows everything about him. They know what he has for breakfast. They know where he fucking lives. They know, you know, what style football. I'm like, come on, man. Like, just get with the real world. Like, you want to hire a manager who's not even got like a proper license. Like
you're so fixated on this license thing. The geezer's doing his license. It's obviously not affecting his management of the team, or it's affecting his finances.
It could.
But I'm saying
he's doing it illegally.
Yeah, well, I know, but obviously Rens or Ron, whatever the is, are happy to pay the Ren. If they weren't happy to pay it, they'd sack him off. They're happy
because they ain't lost in 13 games.
Well, yeah, so obviously that's a price they're willing to pay to have this manager who's doing a good job there. So the license thing is neither here nor there to me.
I just think people just get overexcited about nothing, and then they wonder why we end up, you know, when we do shit inevitably, when it inevitably doesn't work out, they're like, oh, why hasn't it worked out? Run it. It just does my head in.
Oh, must be the other day when they put obviously an image up of Slaven Bilic at David Gold's funeral thing.
Yeah, I see that.
They was all saying, oh, get him back, because he's got a fucking suit and sunglasses on. Oh, we want Bilic back. I'm like, come on, like.
Do you know what? Do you know what my take on the whole thing is like? Twitter is like a parody alternative reality compared to the real world, because when you go to the games, you know, like everyone's in real time, you know, people are like, you know, pretty much got the same sort of view, and you see what's happening in real time. Like some player has a shit game. You go onto Twitter and you say that player had a shit game. No, we had a good game. What you talking about? Like it's an alternative reality. Like on Twitter we've won, and that player has played well. When in reality he's played shit and we've lost.
I don't know where you fit, Dom, because I've heard some of the biggest bollocks you'll ever hear at football matches from people usually behind me talking shit.
Yeah, there's always one, but like, you know, most of the time the narrative is the same. Like, I'm not knocking Will. I've not said Will Still's a bad manager. I've not said Will Still's going to fail and not make it. He'll definitely go into management one day. There's no doubt about that.
Well, he's in management. He's in management already. He's in it.
But he's a caretaker manager. You know, like, and it's not quite official yet. I just think it's madness that you're willing to risk. Because, you know, the same people that want this geezer in are probably the same ones saying, oh, yeah, we've had an upturn in form since the new year. I mean, if we've had such a good upturn in form, why do you want to change manager now?
Yeah, if David Moyes was to turn around and he said, like, and we didn't know anything about this, Will Still, and he come in and said, I'm bringing him in to work alongside me on the coaching staff to give him that little bit of experience, then, yeah, I think that would be a better option. But I agree, like, to bring someone in that's not proven, and as you said, he's got to do all his licenses, and which I think stupid. I mean, like, I don't get all the licenses things, and you don't need a license to be a professional football player, do you? So I don't really see why you need to. I understand that you need badges and that, but give him time. If you get a job, give him a certain time to do these licenses and pass them. I don't understand why he's being fined. I really don't. But
it just goes against regulations, though, doesn't it? That's why.
As I said, I'm not going to knock him because I don't know much about him, but I applaud him for everything he's done, and he's in the news and people are talking about him, and he's only 30 years old, and he's doing well where he is at the moment. So, as I said earlier, let him earn his stripes somewhere else, and who knows, in a few years' time, you know.
Yeah, you're bang on, mate. Look,
I don't know. It looks promising, doesn't it? It does look promising, but like right at this very moment, it's madness.
Yeah, exactly.
And then because I know you're going to agree with everyone, and then I'm going to come in with a counterpoint. You go
you look at this guy, right? He's doing really well where he is. He's still learning the trade, still learning the game. Like you said, he's still got to get his UEFA badges so that it's all legitimate and all that type of thing. He's had a very good run of form in a shit league, a league that's dominated by one team. There's other managers out there, who have started their managerial careers in a not so good league, done really well, stepped into the Premier League, and it all went tits up within a year. And this is the thing. Let a manager cut his teeth. Let him go and carry on doing what he's doing. Get his licenses. Keep continuing to grow in that league. Steven Gerrard went to Rangers, smashed it in Scotland. Comes to Villa, sacked in under a year. Look at Frank Lampard at Derby, doing really well. Leaves Derby, should never have left Derby. Goes to Chelsea, gets sacked. Goes to Everton, gets sacked. The Premier League is a different kettle of fish to any other league in the world, right? And this is what a lot of the fans don't get. That's what a lot of the fans don't get. It's completely different. You don't get what you get in the Premier League, in La Liga, in all these other leagues. This is the thing. This is a competitive league. This is the most competitive league in the world. And it's so cutthroat compared to other leagues.
It's the most precious league
in the world. I don't know about. I read an article this morning, and it was bang on, like on the BBC website, wrote by someone. It's spot on, saying about how all the rest of the top leagues are like a feeder league to the Premier League now because of the money. Like Chelsea spent in January more than 4 times more than the whole of them 4 countries combined.
But look, let me come in and just look at the other side of things at the moment, right? I'm not going to sit here and advocate for West Ham should bring in Will Still. You know, I'm
Will Still.
yeah, but I think the way a lot of fans are, and you know, obviously Dom being one of them, you know, treating fans who do want him in or are excited, I think it's a bit over the top because at the end of the day, if someone said, "Oh, we should get Vincent Company in," no one would bat an eyelid. No one would react like this the way
would.
people react.
I
No,
would.
you wouldn't.
What's so
You
interesting
wouldn't,
about
because
it?
people have been saying Vincent Company for a while, and there was not this backlash about people saying
I
Vincent.
didn't see it. I've seen
Mikel
a few
Arteta.
statistics, but no.
Mikel Arteta, and then you're going to go, oh, he was under Guardiola, but he hadn't ever managed. Patrick Vieira hadn't. He had a bit of management in France, a bit in America. You know, I think there's a bit of snobbery around him because he was unknown, and I think to your point, Dom, this whole thing about, oh well, no one knew who he was, but what are we only looking at managers?
I haven't once said that he will be a bad manager for West Ham. I haven't once said that no, we shouldn't go for him. I'm saying the fact that people want him now is absolutely preposterous. That's what people. What? So you get him now, would you?
No, I'm not saying I'd get it now, but I don't think it's absolutely preposterous for people to suggest that because people.
I think it is.
Because I think we're in an era now where a lot of people want young, and that, I mean, he's very young, but young, exciting managers. I think a lot of people are tired of seeing the same old names wheeled around. And I know obviously Ryan was alluding to Rafa earlier. Rafa's an example, and I think the reason why he is he's a proven manager and he's got a big name and everything. But I think people are just tired of seeing these old managers who play this boring brand of football, given the same jobs over and over again, go to all these different clubs and fail at these different clubs or fall out with these clubs and then get a new job. And it's a big circus and a big, merry-go-round. People, I think, want to see young, progressive managers at their clubs because we're not going to be a club. We're not. And this is the thing. People do their nut if you suggest we should get Poch, we should get Tuchel, right? Oh, you're ridiculous. You're living in... Well, exactly. But then people get the ump if you go for these sorts of, unknowns.
Yeah,
so,
I do see where you're coming from. I think if this was the end of the season, we've stayed up and Moyes had been sacked and we was linked with him, I think, yeah, do you know what? Bring him in, give him a chance pre-season. You never know. I think talking about now, I think, it's a bit too much of a risk.
I think you had the right idea.
We're at this moment in time, we are in no position to gamble our whole future on this guy. Right.
No, I think Ryan had the right idea when I would say if he could come in as an assistant manager, because he's been working as a video analyst and assistant manager for the better part of 10 years, right? Whether it's under Moyes, if Moyes is still here, or under the new manager, if Moyes don't stay, and then proceeds to learn in the Premier League as an assistant manager, that's the best route. And I'm not saying get Will Still in. I'm just saying the way people are reacting to the idea of it or people wanting it, I can understand. There's not West Ham football fans are passionate, emotional. There's a romanticism about things. Someone that says my dream is to manage this football club. I want West Ham. You hear that, it can't help but tug at your heartstrings. So, of course, fans are going to jump on it and go, bring him in. Oh, I love it. Let's have it. Because we've had so many managers that don't get this football club. Big Sam, we had him for ages.
It was a bit like the Bilic situation, wasn't it? When we got him in, it was that West Ham connection. Everyone got, the heartstrings going. We thought, he's ex-West Ham. He loves the football club. He brought in Julian Dix as well. And we thought, and then we had that great season at the Bowling. And then it all sort of went downhill. So I do understand what you're saying. Like I'm in the middle because if it was end of the season, it was a brand new season coming up and he come in, you never know. Everyone deserves a chance. Someone mentioned him now, Michael Carrick. What a job he's doing at Middlesbrough. What a job he's doing. Jose Mourinho as well, people have mentioned. He never had a great football career, but look what he's done in the game.
He'd be bad for West Ham, though, I think.
The thing is,
I remember when fans wanted Paolo Di Canio in, and I was actually one when I saw what the work he was doing at Swindon. Like he did a good job at Swindon, and I looked at it and I thought,
But that brings you back to my point of sometimes certain clubs fit certain managers, and managers should stay there. And look at Eddie Howe, right? Eddie Howe he come in a Bournemouth side. He worked him up the leagues. He got him into the Premier League. He stuck with him in the Premier League. Look, it didn't work out. Yeah, it was always going to be hard. But he had that experience coming through.
The thing is, as well, what a lot of people forget about Eddie Howe is he left Bournemouth to go to Burnley, and he didn't last long now. But he didn't let that affect him. He got on with it. He went back to Bournemouth, done another great job, and now he's doing well at Newcastle. Look, Eddie Howe, we know at Newcastle is only a bad run away from getting the sack, because their owners will want, and this is no disrespect to Eddie Howe, they'll want a Jose Mourinho at that football club. They'll want a big name manager at that football club. So I know Eddie Howe was doing well, and long may it continue for him, and because I think he's doing a fantastic job. But as I said, he's only a few games away from getting a sack himself. A bad run.
The thing is, he's a young, exciting manager, but he's a good coach who makes players better. And who's in tune with the fan base, and why wouldn't you get behind that? And you see, and look, and I'm not speaking for all of the fan base, this is my feelings of Moyes. You see someone who's very dour and miserable and negative, like not just on the pitch, but negative in the things he says off the pitch. And it makes it hard to connect with managers like that. And if they're not doing it on the results wise, then it's hard to really stick with them. And I look at Bilic, and and I have to mention this Bilic, right? Because I think Bilic managed the West Ham at our most difficult period, because we had the last season at Upton Park, when we had the stadium migration, he was nowhere near as backed as Moyes was. He had to deal with Payet leaving mid-season, which, a lot of our team was based around him. And then he had players like Gökhan Toure and Havard Nordveit, Scott's favourite and stuff. And I just think, like, I would love to, and this could be just my own personal feelings. I love Slav. But I just look at some of the managers we have like that. You just haven't got the backing. I would love us to get, a progressive young manager and back him and actually support him. Because if we're not going to get the top tier managers, I would rather that than us just get those same mid-tier managers that just do the rounds from club to club. I'd rather us take a chance, maybe look at a Vincent Kompany and go, well, do you know what? We're going to take a chance. There's something there. There's something there that we can see. We're going to give you support. And if it don't work out, it don't work out, because, it's you that's for the management. That's football. You take a chance, don't you, on these managers?
It's a difficult job. You look at Man United since Alex Ferguson's gone. The great names they've had there that just can't get it right. And then everyone thought this Ten Hag was going to be another sort of Solskjaer, but he sort of steadied the ship at United, and he's doing well this season. They're going. No one's really talking about them, but they're creeping up there, and they're in a cup final, the League Cup. So it's always a difficult job, management, and we could sit here all night talking about managers, and I know we was going to talk about as Moyes sort of turning it around at West Ham. Is people starting to, can they get behind him and things like that? So
I think, I think that's a good one to get into next. I think we should get some comments and get into that one. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. That's why I suggest it as a topic, because you can see how divided it is. Some people are like, that's ridiculous, but yeah, I love stuff like that where it's so divided. Let's get in some comments. Adam, the architect. I listened to the full Still interview, and I'm very impressed how he answered a lot of the hard questions. Also, he didn't beat around the bush that he wants the West Ham job. I love that he wants it.
Is he related to John Still, the ex-Dagenham manager?
No, I don't think so. Adam, the architect, again. Thanks once again. Give Still a go. He'll be a sparkling appointment. I see what you did there. I prefer Still over sparkling. Cheers, Adam. BB Banks, agree with Dan, and we're gambling with Moyes too. Dom refuses to change to the modern game.
Yeah, it's right. But apparently we turn a corner.
Good old Miss Amaret. It's simple, really. Literally, all of us have our thoughts. Some we agree on, others we don't. If we was all the same, life would be dull AF. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I fully agree, Miss Amaret. Young, exciting manager during a relegation battle is risky as well. Yeah, I think that is I think that is really extreme. To bring him in now in a volatile period is very, very, very risky. I can agree with that. Adam, like I said, again, Moyes is the oldest manager in the league at 59. Interesting. Gary O'Neill is the youngest at 39 and Arteta at 40. Arteta is top of the league and he's been in the Arsenal job for 3 or 4 seasons, already won a cup, won it in his first season as manager. So, yeah, I think you can't always just look at experience, in terms of things like that. Good old Geordie Toon for life. I think that was better. I was on, everyone kept dissing, or I was on this Newcastle channel yesterday. I was all dissing my Geordie accent, calling it Jamaican. But, hey, man, you know way. Yeah, man. I'll read it. How's mother was seriously ill when he was at Burnley. She lost her life, and because he was at
Irish.
Oh, jeez. And because
you know what you sound like? You sound like one of them Canadian characters off Family Guy. You sound Canadian.
But that's a sad one. Yeah, I didn't know that his mother passed away.
Yeah, look, and as I said, I've been an admirer of Eddie Howe for a long time, and as someone said there, they're right. He could be 2-3 games away from losing his job, but he could be 1 game away from winning their first trophy in 50 years. And to be honest, I hope he achieves it. I really do. So good luck to him.
Yeah. Yes, Scott. I bet you wouldn't have wanted Ten Hag since he came from the Dutch division.
Well,
eh?
The thing is,
he played in the good old United Kingdom.
No, I don't quite understand that, because I never turned around and said I wouldn't want someone who's managed in them leagues. I turned around and said that let them cut their teeth where they are, because it's a different kettle of fish coming into here. Never said I wouldn't want a manager from them leagues. Never turned around and said I wouldn't want Will Steele in the future. Just turned around and said cut your teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then what? Okay, so what's the relevance then of it's a different kettle of fish here? Because even if he cuts his teeth there, it's still a different kettle of fish there, no matter where.
Of course it is, but you gain more experience. You learn more about it. When you're sitting there winning 13, 14 games in a row, you don't learn a lot.
Yeah.
You learn more when you lose games. You learn to react and stuff like that. At the end of the day, him winning all them games, when that team lose, he'll learn something. He'll learn something about his players. Coming into a side that's sitting here fighting relegation, losing more than what they're winning, you need to learn pretty quick. So that's what I'm saying about gaining experience. Managers, they have a good run, they do a good thing, everyone hypes them up, everyone wants them in, and then they come in and fall flat. Look, not every single manager will fall flat. Other managers have bucked the trend.
Do you think Newcastle don't regret hiring Alan Shearer for the last 8 games in 2009, and then they got relegated? Do you think they?
Yeah, but you can't blame Shearer for that.
Well, then you can't blame. But then they shouldn't have hired him, should they?
You could say the same about Trevor Brooking when he took over West Ham.
Would you say the same about Brooking?
I was still in
nappies. Oh, right. So this is the thing with Dom. If it was before 2006, he don't know.
No. Not earlier than that, mate. Earlier than that.
But no, I said the same thing on Twitter, Scott, to someone. That's when you're going through a sticky period. That's when you learn the most, when things go wrong. Good old Steve, 899 super chat. Thank you very much, Steve. Hi guys. Any update on the next FNP live? I think trying to look at it around end of season. That's all I've heard.
It will be an end of season thing. It's hard to plan one. It's hard to organise a piss up and a party when we're in a relegation battle.
Yeah, we're not feeling party mood.
The last thing we want to do is flog tickets when we're relegated.
But to be fair, we can either drown our sorrows together or celebrate together. Whatever happens,
I'm sure we'll be celebrating.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we could be celebrating. Where am I? This side, Conference League.
Oh, you got the badge.
Yeah.
Conference League badge. Nice. Good old Josiah, £5 super chat. Thank you, Josiah. I don't think that is true, but I think it's a potential, but I don't think that it's true. Specify that, Josiah. You don't have to send a super chat in to specify what you're talking about, but I think we've lost the timing on that. But yeah.
Jenna.
Yeah. Don't worry, Josiah. Just put it in. Nicky's working.
Oh.
But yeah, so all right, let's get on to this Moyes talk, because we're talking about potential replacements and all that while Moyes is still in the job. Right, obviously, look, you suggested it. I thought it was a good topic. Take it away, mate.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying we've turned the corner, but obviously the results, you know, when you look at it, in all competitions, we've lost one in our last 5. You know, so I know the opposition hasn't been. The big test is going to be tomorrow away at Newcastle. Yeah. You know, but you can only beat what's in front of you. So whether it's a Brentford B team or a Derby or Everton, you know, it was a good point at Leeds. You know, and we were disappointed against Wolves. Worst I've seen us for a long time, especially under David Moyes. But look, some players are like, especially Jared Bowen. You know, he's getting the goals again. You know, so we are. I wouldn't say we've turned the corner, but we've stopped the rot of losing and not picking up points or picking up wins. Or you know, so yeah. Are the fans starting to get back on David Moyes' side? I heard the fans singing his name the other night, which I ain't heard for a long time. You know, whether they've been on the piss all day, I don't know. But
they must have.
Mate, these 3 in front of me on Monday night were absolutely bladdered. It was hilarious.
Was you singing it, Dom?
No, do you know what? I was bored shitless at that game.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
The thing is,
I don't think I stood up the second half.
As I've always said about David Moyes, you know, I wanted him to turn it around. I wanted him to do well. I got to the point where I thought, yeah, we do need a change. The change didn't happen, but I'm not going to sit there and waste my breath online and sit there slagging off David Moyes all the time. You know, I want to get behind him. I want him to do well, because if he's doing well, we're doing well, you know, and everyone's happy again. But it's a big challenge for him, but it don't look like they're going to get rid of him. You know, if they get rid of him now and bring someone in who's not going to have a window is disappointing, you know, and I don't think that's fair on the new manager coming in. But I think what we've got, the players we've got, if we can just find that little bit of form, you know, I think we'll start moving up the table.
Yeah, do you know what? The reason why this was an interesting topic to me, because I'm someone who probably, out of everyone on this channel or on this show, or at least it's on this thing today, could be considered the most David Moyes hater, right? You probably consider me closest to that label, right? So when you said, like, is he starting to win over his haters, or I can't remember the exact wording, you know, I thought about it, and there is a part of me that, you know, has this little bit of glimmer of hope inside me that it can turn things around. Like, there is, you know, there's a reason we've gone through all of this crap this season, right? We've you know, and we're gonna rise like a phoenix from the ashes. You know, I can't say he's completely changed my mind, but I'm a little bit more hopeful, and I don't know whether that's just from not seeing us losing what seems like a while now, but yeah. So I think he hasn't won me over yet. You know, the football is still crap, and again, you don't mind the football being crap if you're getting results, right? That's it. That's the trade-off. If football's crap, then win.
I said this to Scott the other day. I said I had a thing with someone on Twitter, and he ended up blocking me because I just couldn't believe what he said to me. Like, we was having this debate about the possession against Everton. He said they had more possession, blah blah blah. I said, okay, but look, we won. I said so, and I said to him, I said, if we played Man City at home and we had 85% of the ball but lost 2-0, would you accept that? And he said, yeah, because we dominated the champions. And I said, well, that is what is wrong with modern day football fans, is that they'd rather see us have the ball for 85% of the game and look good against City but lose than when you're down the bottom against a relegation rival. They might have had more possession, but they didn't do nothing with the ball. You know, so the only stat that ever matters to me is the one in the top corner at the end of the whistle. And look, I want to see us play football like we did last season. Of course I do. But when you're down the bottom and you need a win, you need a point, you need a result, you take anything. I don't care how we play. It ain't always got to be pretty. It's got to be that quarter to free bird that you pick up just before you go home. It's not pretty, but it do. And then you move on to next week and you hope you pull a better one earlier in the night. That's what it is.
I absolutely hate the XG. I hate that stat. It drives me mad.
Why? Go on. Is that it? It's just
no, because Ryan just mentioned like modern day football and pointless. Like, you know, that guy saying he'd rather us dominate possession and lose than play shit and win. Like that's what it is. Like XG is a similar thing. Like, oh, but we had a good XG and shit like that. Like, it don't get you points, don't get you wins.
Yeah, well, sometimes
right there showing your shit in front of goal.
Yeah, I just think the thing is, I think that's ridiculous to say you'd rather lose and play well against Man City. And that I think the thing is with the Everton game is when you look at performances and you win, but you play crap against the worst side in the league. Sometimes it's an indicator, right? Because when you're losing week in, week out to loads of other teams, right? You finally get your win, but you still look crap and still look unconvincing against the worst team. It doesn't fill you with much hope and much confidence going forward when you play better teams, because you're like, you know, this is the one game you would hope to see us flex our muscles a bit, you know, and even still we're making a meal of it, and you know, and we're not as convincing, you know, and I think that was the problem with the Everton game. But
Dan,
yeah,
Dan, I got told that when we lost to Liverpool in October, that was a very exceptional, proud performance, and we had very good XG, and we're going to be fine. Since that game, we've picked up 7 points. Yeah. So, like, that's a false indicator if you judge it by the points. I do understand what you're saying, but, like, at the end of the day, where beggars can't be choosers, we're not in a position to, you know, all we've got to do is just win ugly. If it keeps you in the league, then you take it.
Yeah, I think our aim now, obviously, for the season is to make sure we're still in the Premier League at the end of it. And, you know, look, I know we've got Man United away in the Cup. Look, that could be, you never know that day. But look, the conference, we've still got that to play for, and that don't start till March. So there's still a lot to play for in this season. I know it looks all doom and gloom because we're at the bottom, near the bottom of the Premier League, but you know, we can get a couple of results going forward. As I said, tomorrow is going to be a big test for us. We've got 3 massive games coming up in the Premier League. We've got Newcastle away tomorrow. Then we've got Chelsea at home next week. And then we've got Tottenham. So it's going to be difficult. And look.
How many points do you see us getting?
I don't know, mate, because the thing is, you know, we usually do well against Chelsea when it's...
I think we'll beat Chelsea.
Well, I think we need to look at it, right? If you would have said Chelsea pre the transfer window, I was like, yeah, I'd have been like, yeah. But now they've signed a load of new players, quality players. They've got João Felix back from suspension. They're not going to be the same Chelsea we've been seeing all season. I think they're going to be a bit better. So
yeah, but I think he works because he ain't going to know his best team, Potter, and they've done terrible under Potter. So, like, that just gives me hope. Like, I'd say even, like, he just don't know his best team. Yeah, he's going to take a while to work out his best teams. They've signed so many players, and I don't think they're doing particularly well under him. I think it's a good time to play him.
It's going to obviously, especially tomorrow, is going to be difficult. But if you walk out there tomorrow with a point, you know, that's going to give us a lot of confidence going into that Chelsea game. If we get 3 points, you know, it'd be fucking... That would be amazing, you know. We'd all love that, but it's going to be difficult. But yeah, look, as I said, 3 massive games coming up, and if we was to pick up a few points out of them the next 3 games, it's just going to give us confidence going forward. And as I said, there's still a lot to play for. I mean, I know people were saying about Man United away in the Cup, you might as well write it off, but why? Because that week they've got the League Cup final coming up, they've got Champions League as well, sandwiched in between that, you know, so it might be a good time to play them.
Yeah, I think we've got to target at least 4 points from our next 3 games. You know, I think, we'll target. Yeah, we can get 4 points. We're looking good. But yeah, all right, we'll get your opinions, Scott. Dom, we'll let you get off to bed, or Dom or Doom. You're up. What time are you up tomorrow?
Well, I don't know. That's why I was hoping Nicky would be in, because I meant to be going with him, but we've got a bit of a problem with his car. So we might be going to someone else, but I don't actually know where and when I'm meeting him at what time. So this is a good plan for a game, isn't it?
Well, you better go and try and get hold of him, mate.
Yeah, good luck with that. More chance of us getting a win tomorrow.
But we look forward to seeing the vlog and hopefully seeing the fan cams and some happy hammers. So nice one. Thanks for dropping in, Dom.
No worries, mate. I'm off to the village.
See you later, mate.
Yeah,
Bye.
Enjoy your mansion. Go and play piano.
Ciao, mate.
All right. Yeah.
He's making my neck hurt. I kept turning around like that. But what's he looking at?
I know. What the? Who does that? Who comes on the show and it's like, I might do it like that. So, Scott, what do you think? Is Moyes starting to win over his haters?
Nah, Moyes is never going to win over the haters, mate. We could go unbeaten until the end of the season. He's still not going to win them over. You know, we've said before that a lot of people wouldn't admit when they were wrong when things were going right for Moyes. You know, there was people that were still waiting for him to lose a game or lose a couple of games so they could jump back on the bandwagon wanting rid of him. So he's never gonna win over the haters. Is he gonna win over the people that were a bit undecided? Yeah, possibly. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of football fans are very fickle. You know, me included. You know, we do sometimes we say things and then, you know, we have to go back on it. And you know, you want people to prove you wrong. You sit there and come out with a comment. You know, you go back to when Moyes got reappointed. How many of us actually wanted him? You know, and we had our words. He got us into Europe twice. You know, we were playing some. You know, we were having some good away days. We were having some good games. That the football's not always been the prettiest, but it's one of those. But he's not going to win over his haters ever. You know, the guy could still go and win a trophy, and people are still going to hate him.
I take offence to this, Scott. I take offence to this.
I think he can win over some of his haters, because I think some of his haters, you know, if they're proper football fans, you know, they will accept. They'll say, okay, they'll admit. They'll say, yeah, okay, he's doing well. I'll get behind him. Every West Ham fan wants Moyes to do well. Of course they do. As I said, if he's doing well, we're winning. We're all happy again. We're all singing. We've got Super David Moyes. We're all having great nights at London Stadium again. You know, it's been difficult. It's been difficult this season. And I know the league form, you can look at it over the last year or whatever, and it hasn't been great. But we've still achieved things in that. And people might not see it, but we have. To finish in the top 7 and get back into Europe. And people forgetting, I know it's only the Conference League, but we smashed the Conference League again. Qualify with a game to go. You know, we're going well in the FA Cup. You know, league form is obviously, yeah, it hasn't been great. But you can look back at some of the decisions that have gone against us this season where it's been our fault, you know, where we haven't seen games off. But look, I think that if we went on a 10-game unbeaten run and we moved up to mid-table, I think you'd definitely see a different atmosphere over the ground. And I think you see a different sort of atmosphere towards David Moyes from some people. You'd always have the people that whatever Moyes does, as you said, if he wins the FA Cup, they're still saying, it don't matter. Don't matter, fuck it. You know what I mean? You're always going to get that people because they don't like admitting, not that they're wrong. I'm not saying they're wrong, but they don't like thinking, okay, we've got behind him, because I don't think they're going to sack him now. If they would have sacked him, they'd have done it weeks ago. Don't think they are. So he's our manager probably till the end of the season. These are the group of players we've got till the end of the season. So let's just get behind them. You know, whatever your feelings are towards Moyes, we'll turn up to that ground, get behind the team, because the players will play off the crowd. You know, that if we get behind them, which we always do, can't never knock the West Ham fan base in games. Twitter's a different kettle of fish. But in the grounds, you know, our fans are some of the best. You heard it the other night on the TV up at Derby, 4,500 fans on a Monday night, a game that's on telly, non-stop singing. You know, we've got some of the best fans in the world, especially away from home. So let's just hope that times change and we can move up the table.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, Scott, I think fans have been justified in their criticism of Moyes this season. And last season, you know, even when we were having a poor run in the league, right? no one was really getting on Moyes' back, even the Moyes haters in the season before that, because people was going even me. Do you know what? Okay, we've lost this league game to Leeds, but obviously we've won in Europe, right? Obviously, eyes are in Europe, making excuses for him. I was one of the people that didn't want him in. You can ask anyone. All these other shows I did, I was singing his praises and all of that stuff. But this season, and the thing is, what Ryan said earlier, it really struck a chord with me. It really opened when it said, this season, we've got to focus on staying up. Obviously, the Conference League is there, but obviously, it's just the fact that we're in this situation after spending all of that money. It's so poor. It's such a poor position to be in.
It's crazy because I bet there's Newcastle fans that were sitting there not this time last year, but last season, early in the season, looking at what we're doing in Europe, in the top four, and their fans were probably thinking, "I'm jealous of West Ham. I wish we were like that." Now we're swap positions.
Yeah,
we're
but there's
someone Newcastle. They're in a cup final. They're in the top four. So the football can change so quick. It can change so quick. You never know. You could go on West Ham could go unbeaten for the rest of the season. It's not going to happen, but it could happen. You never know. But football's a funny game. But yeah,
if he wins the Conference League, then I'm like, do you know what? Yeah, let's give him more time. I'm happy with that. I know it's a new competition and all of that stuff, but it's still a trophy, and I would still be massively grateful for it, and I'd love to see us win it. So if he wins that, then yeah, like I'm like, cool, Moyes, let's have it, right?
Yeah,
or if
I know this sounds mad, but if I was, if we stay up and David Moyes won the Conference League or the FA Cup, it wouldn't surprise me if he left. It wouldn't surprise me if he thinks, right, yeah, that's it. I know I've gone off. I watched his interview he done. I only managed to watch it the other day. The CEO interview, the Steve Bartlett one. It was a really good interview. I really enjoyed it, and you can tell that he's worked hard from a young age to get where he is now. And if he was to end the season, keep us up, win the Conference League, and then call it a day, I think everyone would respect him. And I think he'll always have the respect from West Ham fans that he could be welcome back to the football club, at any time, whether it be as a guest or whatever.
Yeah, definitely go out on a high. Sometimes that's the best way, and his legacy there is established in football, and yeah, look, that's the thing.
We've all said it, right? We've all turned around and said you take 17th in the Premier League and winning a trophy all day long.
Yeah.
If we finish 17th and win that Conference League, I'm happy. We've won a trophy. We had this debate a couple of weeks ago. You want your football club to win trophies. People keep going, it's only the Conference League and all that. Roma didn't treat it like that. Roma treated it like a European title.
I think that's the best thing that happened for that Conference League was Jose Mourinho winning it and Roma winning it, because Jose Mourinho's won everything in football. He's one of the best managers, greatest managers for a long time. And, for him to win it was great for the Conference League. And I think that a lot of teams are going to take it a lot more serious. And I hope we do, because when I look at who's in it, even with the dropouts that have come into it, I still think we're one of the best. Mm-hmm. And I think European football suits our players.
Yeah.
You've seen it. Paqueta hasn't really hit it off in the Premier League. He's doing well now. He's starting to find a little bit of form. But in Europe, he's a different type of player. Scamacca, another one. So I still want us to take it seriously. I don't want us to start concentrating too much on the Premier League. I'm hoping by the time that we come around to playing the next round of the Conference League is that we're starting moving up in the Premier League.
Yeah. That's it. That's the thing. I think we've all said it before. We want us to win that Conference League, and there's a good few weeks, good few games between now and when we play next in that competition. So hopefully we can be further up the table with a little less pressure on ourselves. It's not going to be easy. Our next 3 games are tough games. We know football, especially when you're down where we are at the moment. Moyes' job is under threat after every game.
He's,
You know,
he's
it-
only one,
it's-
I think Moyes is at that point now, Scott, where he's one heavy defeat. Because I said this the other day, we haven't West Ham over the years. You always get battered 5-6-0 every season,
Yeah.
like once or twice a season. I haven't seen that for a long time at West Ham. I think the biggest score we've lost is 3-1 under David Moyes. You know, we don't get battered as much as like we used to.
Mhm.
So, you know, but he's one heavy defeat. If we went to Newcastle tomorrow and lost 5-0, it'd be out of a job. We lost 4-0 at home to Chelsea, it'd be out of a job. You know, so
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, and it shouldn't be like that because he could lose 1-0 every game for the rest of the season. We get relegated at the end of the day. And I think that's how we.
Yeah,
we-
but
we
the,
look at
the,
it.
the thing is, again, it's we could lose 1-0 for the rest of the season and get relegated. We could win 1-0 for the rest of the season. It's one of those, but you've got to draw the line sooner or later. You know, it will. I said to you at the Everton game, Dan, I said I think they won't sack Moyes. Moyes will be here till the end of the season, and it's one of those where if he has another bad run of games where we don't win a game for 5 or 6 matches, I think he will go. Just for the simple reason is that they can't then run that risk anymore.
Yeah, as long as we're not in risk of, as long as we're not in serious danger of getting relegated, he'll still be the manager. But
Yeah.
that's it. Like for me, as someone who might be in the Moyes hater camp, if he wins the Conference League, I'm happy to continue with him, even if, let's say, we don't win a trophy. And to me, I think losing European football for next season would be a disaster. Like, because I think it's going to be hard to get back there. With lots of
We don't. I think that if we don't win the Conference League, I don't think we get back there. I think we didn't strengthen when we had the opportunity last season in January when we should have done, and I feel now when you look at a bit like that season when Leicester won the league, you know, the big teams who normally do well, they had poor seasons. They only have one poor season, and then they start coming back. You know, you now add in Arsenal, you know, they've found their form, they've found their feet under Arteta. They're now back in the mix. Newcastle, the way they're performing. And that's with Liverpool and Chelsea sort of dropping down. You know, so when you look at next season, competing for the European places next season, Liverpool, Chelsea are going to be back there. Then you're sitting looking at Newcastle, Arsenal, Man United, Man City. To get into a European place then, it's going to be twice as difficult. That's why to keep this European momentum that we're trying to get of having consistent European football, this is why it's so important for us to win the Conference League.
Yeah, it's huge.
If we don't win the Conference League, Scott, we should win the FA Cup, mate.
Do you know what I mean?
That would be even better. That would be one better. And that's the thing. But yeah, and so what I was going to say is the only other way that for this, beyond this season, I'd be like, you know what, let's continue with Moyes. If we didn't win any trophies, would be if we did go on a run and we started to see everything click with this team. We started to see the system working. We started to see the players, you know, getting played to their strengths. Skamaka's We can see like, oh, finally, okay, it took a bit of time. We had to go backwards to go forward. Okay, Aguerd was injured. This one was injured. Now we've got our team. This is it. This is what he had planned, and it's working. And if we had these bits in the summer, we're going to be some team. I need to see that.
And that's what we were saying. That's what I was trying to allude to when I was saying about, you know, Moyes said we're transitioning. You know, we saw Antonio come out and say we're trying to transition into a possession-based team. If you're seeing that and you're losing a game, but you're seeing that progression, you're seeing, you know, the performances are good performances. You're seeing, you know, you go back, you know, you look at the Forest game. We could have got points there. The Chelsea game where we were robbed of a point. You know, you sit there and you can make excuses for, oh, we were a bit unlucky. It's the fact we haven't seen a lot of that progression in the transition because we've not stuck to the same formation. All right, yeah, we have had the injuries and I get that. But we could go into these next games, the performances could lift. We might not get the results, but the performances could lift and we could see a style starting to appear. Do you know what I mean? That, you know, we might lose a game by the odd goal, but you start seeing it appear, and then you think, all right, well, the next game, and then we get a point, and then we get 3 points, and then we start the run building.
I'm actually really looking forward to the game tomorrow because I think it's a real test for our players, and I think now that we've got, like, we haven't got our settled back three, we'll call it, but I can imagine that Kehrer is going to play alongside Aguerd and Ogbonna tomorrow, but it would be Zuma, and I think Zuma, Ogbonna, and Aguerd together, which showed it. Well, we played that against Everton, didn't we? And they look solid. And Aguerd has been unbelievable since he's come back from his injury.
Yeah, I love him.
It's just he's a real leader at the back, and I think that's what we've been lacking. And having someone like Ogbonna, I know Ogbonna hasn't got the pace anymore, but positioning wise, he's very capable of that. And you got someone, and I thought Kehrer looked all right the other night. He still panics me sometimes, but he's still adjusting.
I haven't wrote him off. Too many people have wrote him off.
I'm not writing him off either, because sometimes it takes players a long time to settle. Not everyone can settle straight away in the Premier League. But having Emerson the last couple of games has really impressed me against Everton and Derby. And I think him starting against Derby the other night proves to me that that's who David Moyes wants to play that position. That's why he's giving the game time.
Yeah. Well, when you look at Emerson, and then you look at what we were discussing with Bowen. Bowen returning to a bit of form. Has the change of the system suited him, suited Emerson, suited Soufal? Because Soufal's performances have been a lot better in the last 3 or 4 games. Is this now change of system with a 3 at the back suits our players, and it's helping Bowen? Bowen the other night, you're going to sit people. You can sit there and say it was Derby, but even his performance against Everton, it's much improved. We're starting seeing the Bowen back that got himself to an England call.
I said the same about Antonio, mate. I know Antonio's had his off the field podcasts and that he said certain things, but I think the last couple of games, especially against Everton as well, I think it was a bit of the old Antonio. There was a little bit of fight there. He's got something to prove. I know sometimes that, and I said it the other week, that if he left the club, then it wouldn't bother me. And I probably regret saying that, because I think I was just caught up in the moment where I just listened to the Antonio comments and what he said. It frustrated me a bit. But Antonio's been a great servant for West Ham. And look, if he can have a great second half of the season, because I think what people got to realise, we're only halfway through the season. It's because of the World Cup break, we feel like we're a lot further in. We've only got 10 games left or something. You know what I mean? So we have got time to turn this around. Yeah. So
it feels like it's been a long old season.
Yeah, it has been a very long season, and it will get longer. The longer we do better in the cup competitions, like the FA Cup and the Conference League, it will feel a lot longer. But no, look, I want to see Antonio get back to the Antonio that David Moyes got, scoring goals again.
That would do him some confidence, I think, getting that goal. Sometimes that's what you need as a striker, isn't it? And I think tomorrow, I'm probably more excited for this game than I've been for a game in a long time, because now, if we win, if we do well, there's no more, it's Derby, it's Brentford's B team, it's Everton. We can know, okay, we can really hold on to this and have something we can see and go, do you know what? This is where we're turning a corner now. This is a good side, riding a high at their ground, and we've got something from that. We're turning a corner. This is what I'm really excited about. I'm really up for this.
I remember last season when we played them up their opening game of the season, and everyone was like, heads down, Newcastle. And we beat them, what was it, 4-1? I'm not saying we're going to do that tomorrow, or 4-2, but I remember that day, Ben Rama was unreal. Antonio, unreal. Souček, unreal. Bowen. We need to get these players back in form. If Antonio and Bowen are in form, we're going to win more games than we lose.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. Let's get some comments from some last comments in. We've got Darren Smith with 50 knock. I always forget what knock is. Oslo. Okay. It's from Oslo Hammer, so I guess it's Oslo currency. I don't know. I haven't done geography in a long time. Please can Don turn around? I'm fed up with his earwax. Darren, we booted him out because we was fed up with it as well. So we got rid of him. Darren was all fed up with Paddy McDougall, whatever his name is, earwax. But thank you for the 50 knock, Darren.
Yeah, Darren's just said it's Norwegian.
Yeah, Oslo is the capital of Norway, isn't it? Oslo currency. Kent Hammers, I want I wanted Eddie Howe, and people said I was mad when Moyes came back. I think Eddie Howe could have been a real good manager for us, But that's one we'll just have to always wonder about. Dropped like Spuds, 179 Super Chat. Thank you very much, mate. Just want to say, go smash them Spuds. Come on, you irons.
Yeah, we've got a couple of weeks before that, mate.
yeah. But we'll smash them all the same. Red 5 said, we too scared to get beaten 5-0. I think that's sort of testament to we do have a bit of a cautious approach these days. John says, if we won the Conference League and got relegated next season will be a joke with 46 league games and competing in the Europa League. Bloody hell, could you imagine it? God, I tell you what, could you imagine trying to go to every game as well, home and away? You've got the FA Cup as well, the League Cup. I don't know if we'd be in the Johnson Paint Trophy Cup or if it is as well.
No, I don't think we'd be in. No, is that that's League 1 and 2, isn't it?
Is it? They call it? Didn't they just call it EFL Cup now or something?
Yeah, it was the Papa John's Trophy.
Papa John's
last season, wasn't it? Yeah,
Preach Trophy. Yeah, I mean that's a good point because that's a real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
How would we fit it in?
Crazy.
Where would you fit the games in?
But see, the annoying thing is there though, Dan, is that then you'd privatise the league to get promoted again. That's the thing,
Yeah, imagine that playing a Championship B team in the Europa League.
I don't think we can actually play it. Don't our under-23s play in that tournament anyway?
The EFL Cup, EFL Trophy. Yeah,
that'll be our luck. We'll play our under-23s and lose.
yeah, exactly.
I think it's the under-21s now.
Want to get them under-18s in there, mate. They're smashing it. Flying high. Red 5, 449 super chat. Cheers, Red. Thank you very much, mate. Instead of being negative and sitting back the next 3 games scared to lose, I'd rather us just have a go without pressure and treat it as a free hit.
I do get what you're saying. I think sometimes when you come up against these top teams, you have to take the reins off a little bit, but I think you have to just treat every game different. I mean, Newcastle for me is going to be tougher than I think Chelsea next week. And I know that sounds mad to say, but I think Newcastle are the team in form at the moment. And as Dom said, Chelsea have brought in a lot of players, so they've got to get used to each other. Look, they might click straight away. You don't know. But I think that Newcastle tomorrow, I think you just have to take it one game at a time.
The Newcastle fans were saying to me that this season they've struggled more with teams that have gone at them than the ones that have sat back.
Well, they don't concede. They've only conceded 11 goals in the Premier League so far this season, so they don't concede a lot of goals. So hard. They are a hard team to break down. I mean, I watched them the other week against Palace. They drew 0-0 at Selhurst Park, and they dominated the game, but they just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. So it's about taking your chances, and if we get any chances tomorrow, just take them. Just take your chances. I know it's easy for me to say, but
it's gonna be tough because if you sit there and they're saying that when teams have gone at them, you see the way Newcastle were against Southampton the other night. They pressed them so high. They didn't allow them time to play. And if we want to go at them, we're going to have to try and press them and press them high. But they've got a lot of pace up top that's going to catch us out. And Callum Wilson's not scored for a few games now.
Oh, no, Scott. Listen, you didn't show up for the preview this week. You don't get to do a preview, mate. You weren't there. Look at you trying to do your preview on Friday night.
That's all I'm saying. It's going to be a tough game. We've got to be on it from the start. We can't afford to give them anything because the thing we've got to do is what Everton didn't do to us the other week. They didn't get an early goal to try and get the crowd down.
Well, it's not that as well. They're obviously missing Bruno. I'll call him Bruno because I can't say his surname, but he got the other night. But they've got Gordon to come in, who they've just signed from Everton. Who's going to be obviously buzzing because he'll probably start tomorrow for them. So
it's a big boost in being missing because he is the player that sort of pulls the strings.
Almiron's been brilliant for the past 18 months. He's a totally different. But even Joe Linton, I was talking about him yesterday. The way he drops off now, he plays that little bit deeper, a bit like what Harry
Mhm.
Kane does. Drops off. He's a totally transformed player. So look, of course they've got players that can damage us. You know what? We could be sitting here tomorrow night talking about a 4-0 defeat at Newcastle, but if we turn up with a bit of confidence, we've got the players that we could be sitting here talking about we've nicked a win now.
Do you know,
we've deserved it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people in the chat say it, and I've just got a feeling we are going to nick a win.
I'm feeling more like a draw. I think a
2-2.
win.
I went for
I
an entertaining
1-1.
2-2.
Yeah, I think 1-1.
Honestly, I'd take a draw all day long.
Yeah, I mean the draw is a good result. Something we can, like I've said, minimum 4 points from next 3. That's one. Then we just got to beat Spurs or Chelsea. You know,
That's a lot easier when you say it like that. Doesn't it?
yeah, exactly. I just got to beat Spurs or Chelsea. That's all.
No, but listen, a win tomorrow against Newcastle, and then a week rest for them players. Early kickoff at home against Chelsea in a London derby. It'll give them so much confidence going into that game. So, as I said, you've just got to take it game by game. But I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. I think it's going to be a great atmosphere up there. Their fans are going to be buzzing after what happened the other night, getting into a cup final. They're going to want to make it a fortress there now for the rest of the season. You know their fans never let them down. Win, lose or draw, they're always behind them. So it's about us going there and silencing the crowd. And
I mean, we say that. I will say this. That they never let them since the new owners come in, because I remember when I was down there during the Ashley era and it was a library, so they've got reason to be up about it. But
yeah, of course. Look, I know there's a lot of controversy behind their owners and that, but sometimes, you just got to not say
they're good fans in here, and they,
they're loyal fans. They've not had great times recently. Obviously, the Mike Ashley era, the relegations. Their greatest ever goal scorer relegating them. No, I'm joking. But no, look, they've had some disappointing times, but they've always been loyal. Championship, they're still sending out the ground, just like we used to.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what gets teams up. Look at Leeds. They went down and they went missing for a long time. I'm not saying their fans weren't behind them, but I used to see Ellen Road on the telly and it was half empty sometimes. St. James Park was always packed in the Championship, just like the Boleyn was when we was down there. Even on a Tuesday night, I remember us playing Rotherham at home, selling out. It's so let's just hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. Let's see what happens tomorrow. So let us know down below. I guess we'll wrap things up there. Go check out the preview with Nicky and Ryan that was out, I think, put out yesterday. Do go check that out if you want a deeper dive into the Newcastle West Ham game for tomorrow. And check out, if you're on the Patreon or you're not on the Patreon, go Patreon. Check out the podcast with me and Nicky. And we'll be up there, fan cams, all of that business. Anything else to say, lads?
No, that's it, mate. Been a good show. Enjoyed it tonight. Some good topics. Nice to see Dom's side of his head for about 30 minutes. But yeah, thanks for Dom for jumping in as well, giving us his thoughts on Will Steele. I don't know. Every time I hear that name, I think of Will Mackenzie out of the In-Betweeners. If I hear Will, I just think of Will Mackenzie. But
yeah, is that synonymous? Scott, any last philosophies? Any last?